On this episode, we're sticking the fork in it because it's done. And we're not just talking about the eclipse, but we're also talking about somebody's book. Finally. All that and more coming up. This is the iPhoneography Podcast, episode 116, recorded Monday, April 8th, Eclipse Day. And I'm here with my good buddy, Dave Podner. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Doing good, Greg. Where are you exactly? I can't see anything.
Yeah, I know it was quite a day for a lot of people, and because the viewing of the eclipse is only a narrow band across the continent. So
Yeah.
um, you were at work at the time. I was
Mhm.
off, but I went to a remote location around here to try to get some pictures of a waterfall and I wanted it to be darker than it was, but we'll get into that. But
Mhm.
um, all I want to know is like, based on the stuff you sent me, what the hell are you sitting there for? And why isn't Ruth sitting there?
You know what? I ask myself that an awful lot because, as I said, she's the one with the artistic eye in the family.
Oh yeah,
Seriously, a lot of times that we have, like when we did wedding photos
yeah.
for our niece and another family friend, Ruth was kind of the technical director, the artistic director,
Oh yeah.
telling me, stand here, take this shot, move here, take this shot, take this shot here. Okay, you two moved. So she's the artistic, she's the one who paints, she's the one who took the anatomy class to get how to, draw and everything. Not me.
But to that point though, you do have a really artistic flair with your
Thank you.
editing and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's not it's not a total wash for you anyway. I mean, you do some crazy edits that I would never even dream of doing. But anyway,
Thank you.
so today was the total eclipse,
Mm-hmm.
and the uh, like I said earlier, the path of totality went up through the continent, and neither you nor myself were right there to get 100% totality. I think we were pretty close to the same, like 95 to 97%. And I couldn't believe how much light there was, even at
Yeah.
that, when it was mostly covered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't get any shots of the eclipse itself because, like I said, I was trying to get um, a waterfall, which I got. I got a picture of waterfall at its darkest point,
Mm-hmm.
and um, that picture will be in our recent photos, so I won't go over that one too much. But Ruth took some pictures, and I'm going to put those up on the screen here
Okay.
because um, I think it's pretty impressive what she's done.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Now, let me set the stage in terms of
Okay.
how she took the pictures.
All right.
So she had these, and for those on audio, these were just I don't want to say cheap, because you want to make sure it does say ISO 12312-2 2015 glasses. But these are not like, they're just the type you would get like at a grocery store or, convenience store, gas station, some places. It just so happens one local, I think these were originally produced for the Eclipse um, last year because they
Oh
had
yeah.
both dates on them. But there's like bald eagle, American flag,
Oh
America,
yeah.
America lenses. So she just held this in front of her iPhone with her hand and just took photos. And these were live photos.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So, no massive setup, no anything else going on per se.
Yeah.
And on most of these, very little editing. So this one I loved because it was just a little cloudy. You can see just the bare crescent of the sun
Yeah.
right there in the middle, but the way the clouds are around it, and she has pictures which are just like black sky, trying to get the light just right. And just seeing the little crescent, those are good, but having other things in the picture kind of add to how dynamic it all looks. And this one, and very little editing. Some of the shots had that stereotypical reddish orange tinge to it you get with the this just came out looking like normal without the tinge.
Yeah.
So, whether the iPhone did its magic behind the scenes, imagine. But no, this one just turned out amazing. And like I said, just how sharp that sliver of a crescent is.
Yeah, that's crazy. So was this did she zoom out to 25 times on this?
No,
Or
I
is
think
it cropped?
I want to say, I don't know. I honestly, she doesn't use the digital zoom that often. So it may be either cropped or this just may be the 5X.
Oh, I'm thinking it was definitely the 5X. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wondered if it was because even the 5X, I don't know if the 5X would get it that big in the frame,
It would get close, but a couple of these shots I cropped. Doing a little editing and cropping that way.
Okay.
But I think this one, let me double check here. Hold on. Let me do edit. Honestly, it may be digital zoom because I'm just double checking here and there is no edit on this photo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And really crop. The only crop she did was kind of go, make it square instead of a 4x6.
Right.
But that's it. So there's no, unless she did it at 25 when she took it, which I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She was outside of her work. I was outside my work. So we weren't together.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, so this just came as is. And let's see here. Yeah, it says 120 millimeter f2.8. So, and then 226 millimeter down below. So I'm not great with reading the.
Okay, I think the 226 means that she did have it zoomed a bit because otherwise it would probably just say 120.
120. Okay.
I would
so
think.
Maybe like 10x. So since it's double the focal length, since it's double the length of the 5x, so maybe a 10x.
Yep, could be.
Yeah, I think most of hers were like that.
Yeah. So then the second one, it's got some color to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is another one where you can just see it. I just like the way it was centered on top, and it was just poking through the clouds.
Yeah.
So we weren't cloud packed, but we had enough clouds where it could just cover up here and there, but it was just enough to add, again, a nice touch to it. Again, the crazy thing is, you can, if you look at the photo, and if you're on a enhanced podcast, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I'm bringing this up, you can look at your phone, as long as you're not driving or biking.
Yeah, well, it shows up on CarPlay too.
Well, yeah, true. But still, look at the road. But I just like the way this very sliver of the sun still showing at as max as we got. And the most we got was it felt the air felt chilly.
Yeah. The temperature did go down a little bit.
It went down, but it didn't exceptionally drop.
Yeah,
it was a bit warm today here. So it was enough where it was like, oh, there's a little brisk in the air, but it wasn't like you're cold all of a sudden.
Yeah,
that's another one that just turned out so good right there. And just kind of the sun giving light to the cloud around it.
Yeah, that's neat how it turned out.
This is one of the ones.
This is really cool.
Yeah. This is one where it was more of a working on it, so you blacked everything out, but the sun. This had that orangey tinge to it, but it kind of blew my mind. Where you can tell this is a little bit more sun shown here. So this isn't fully max, but just how crisp the sun and moon is on this one.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of bleed over. There's a little bit, but not a lot of bleed over on this one.
Yeah.
And I think this one was a crop because let me just check here. Yeah, this one was a manual crop in.
Okay.
Because this was showing 120 when I look at the zoom on the photo. So this was, taken off and then afterwards cropped in, because otherwise you're right, it would be very small. But even zooming, manually cropping like this, it's still turned, and like all these are HEIF. These are not raw.
Right.
Again, Ruth did all the editing, and she doesn't do raw. She doesn't do Lightroom Mobile that much.
Yeah.
So this is if it's edited at all, it's all in the Photos app.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, and this last one of hers, I loved it because if you're a Lord of the Ring fan, it's the Eye of Mordor.
Oh, really?
Well, if you remember if you ever watched the movies, right? They had the flaming eye.
Yeah, I think I watched the first two, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would be like near the end of the second one, I think, where you could see the eye.
Oh,
but
okay.
it just the way the redness is. And now she did do editing on this to kind of bring out the color, bring out the red.
Yeah.
But how there's a little bit more of the sun shown, but it's just kind of red, and it looks like everything's on fire in the middle there, and the clouds are just encircling it. So, and it's almost like there's an eyeball opening up.
Yeah, really.
And the monster's kind of getting ready to look and see what's happening. So I just like the artistic look of this one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know which one's the best. I thought maybe the last one might have been, but now I'm thinking this one might be.
Well, it depends, because I would say you're looking more for the artistic look or more for like the technical clear look.
Yeah. Well, this one's got a little bit of both, really, because it's got that artistic flair to it. And it's still kind of crisp, the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now,
and then there's this one.
Yeah, that one's from me. And I saw someone, and I forget where it was and who it was, and I do apologize if you're listening, but they mentioned the lens flare caught the eclipse. So I took a picture without any lens filters or anything and got the sun in there, but made sure I got the lens flare. And then I cropped it to crop out the sun. So I still got, you can see the contrail from a plane kind of going on the upper part, going left to right, and the clouds.
Yeah.
And I did rotate it a little bit, but the bluish kind of lens flare that we all, honestly, we hate.
Yeah, that small.
It's a pain in the butt.
Small lens lens flare that's on the opposite side of the frame.
Exactly. But in this case, I used it because that lens flare is exactly what the eclipse looked like at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was just a thin sliver. And I like the lens flare is, and I don't think it's showing up well on YouTube. It's actually blue.
Yeah.
Just a bluish green, like a normal lens flare. But it almost looks a little, it's kind of like the bluish green look to it. And I like the fact that taking it without the heavy filter, and hopefully I didn't do any damage to the camera. I don't think I did. I only got a 3x zoom. So
I people were asking me about taking pictures of the eclipse with their phone, and I never thought it was a good idea, but Halide come out with an article about it, and other people saying that it's not going to ruin your camera.
Now, I think if you were someone with a traditional camera with like a 600 millimeter lens, having that much concentrated and focused and that much of a zoom could cause an issue, but not on an iPhone.
But everywhere Like I
It's
think even
saying no
Allied,
issue.
they were recommending that you put like a 20 stop ND filter on.
Okay.
And um, I have a 16 stop filter that I used for some of the pictures, one of them that you're going to see in our recent photos. Um, but I never had any intention whatsoever of actually taking a picture of the sun because it was clouded over.
Mm,
Well, when we went to this waterfall, my wife, she was walking the dog around, the property and that, and then just as we're getting ready to leave, she sends me a picture uh from her iPhone 12, non-pro iPhone, that she zoomed in, I guess, all the way, and she got the darn thing, kind of similar to what you have on the screen here, except a little more blurrier and everything else because it
right.
was, just a wide angle blown right up to or zoomed right in digitally. Um, but the clouds were starting to fade and the sky was opening
Mm,
up. And be darned if the darn sky just didn't clear right off after it was all over. Like it was clear in the morning, or no, let's see. It was clear last night, yesterday, and then it clouded over through the night. And then after the eclipse was done, then it cleared back out again. So it was, yeah, it was kind of annoying in that respect. But kudos to Ruth for getting those
well, yeah,
shots.
most definitely.
Um, and they're going to be on the screen as we were talking about them, and they'll be on the website. And you know, she should have been here talking about it. But I think she's still on her own live, isn't she? Or she just finished.
Just finishing up, just finishing
Yeah.
up. Yeah. So
So,
Sinjin, of course, after being live on her own show for almost 2 hours,
oh yeah, she's not going to want to talk anymore.
and then she has just clean up. I don't want to say clean up, but straighten I-
Well, she's got some stuff to put away.
put away, and then
Yeah.
write stuff down and make sure the books are. I don't want to say the books are in order because it makes it sound like you got to make sure the books are in order, but
Yeah.
just making sure everything's tallied and this person got this and this goes here and this goes here,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
organizing so that
Yep.
she can do it now while it's fresh in her mind too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good that she got those shots, and it's good that you had a chance to and tell the folks what you had at work for
Yeah.
snacks. And I thought that
So,
was funny.
oh no, it was real nice because when we had the last total eclipse that came over us, and I think we were in totality, it was 2017.
Yeah.
So they gave us a little packet with the glasses, and they gave us a moon pie. And those who do not live where moon pies are available, look it up. And a couple sticks individually wrapped of eclipse gum.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, and it's nice that they let you out too to go see
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Not every workplace would do that. That's for sure.
No, that is true.
So
That
I
is
think that's
true.
pretty cool.
Yeah. And one thing that's very nice is that even though I'm no longer in customer service, I understand the pain of, hey, everyone come out and do this. And customer service is like, we have a call center. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
we can't just leave. The call center was shut down for around 15, 20 minutes.
yeah. That's
So
not too bad.
everyone was able to get out,
Yeah,
do what they wanted to do, even people working from home, because it's like, it's not fair for people working from home that they have to work while people in the office get to take off.
yeah, yeah.
So especially three to 3:30 in the afternoons, not normally heavy rush time. So
Yep.
that was good.
Well, I haven't had a chance to really check social media too much, but I did see a few posts, both
Mhm.
locally and from elsewhere. And our good friend Matt Hoffman shared a time lapse
Mhm.
video that he just took from his front yard. And what was interesting about that was that when the totality hit, and I think he was right in line with the totality. If it wasn't complete totality, it was darn close
Yeah,
because it was dark
he
enough
was
that the
really
street lights
high.
come on. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it was really cool. I think the video might have been like 20 seconds, and when totality hit, it was pretty dark enough for the street lights to come on, and then
Mhm.
it went light again, really in a real hurry, like rather quickly, I thought.
Yeah.
And I
but
guess,
I don't know if he was using the built-in um app, the
like
built-in
the
camera
camera
for
app.
the time, yeah, for the time lapse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if he
Um,
was, you don't have a lot of control over, you know, the time and everything.
yeah.
Yeah, because I have it up on our chat here and I'm manually moving it. And literally in the video, it's 2 seconds
Hmm.
from before down and then back up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's I'll have to ask him, how long that took. Um, because I'm thinking it probably was the iPhone's camera, like the native
mhm,
panel or not panel, time lapse.
yeah,
Just because if he went for 2 hours, it would knock it down to like 20 seconds.
yeah,
So I'm thinking it might have been, but I'll get a hold of him and ask him, or if
mhm.
he's watching, Matt, if you're watching. Dave, I don't have the chat open in the
Yep, I do.
in
Yep,
YouTube,
I
but
do. In case he pops in, I will
because
definitely let you know if he answers.
I'm seeing three people watching, so
Okay.
one of them could be me. I don't know. And maybe one's you. I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, the pictures are starting to flow through social
Mm-hmm.
media now. A lot of them with totality and some of them with not. And uh, you know, leading up to this, I was just like, nah, it's it's just another eclipse. But when I sent you a link from timeanddate.com, the website
Mm-hmm.
that showed um what it was going to be like for here in Owen Sound where I live.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was going to be, like, it was a lot like yours, like just a sliver showing, right? And I thought for sure it was going to be darker,
Yeah.
but it wasn't, and I was rather disappointed. But when I was getting a little excited last night when I saw this website and saw how much the moon was actually covering the sun, and I thinking, okay, oh, this might be good, So I packed up the dog and we went to this waterfall, and then I was standing there right at 3:18 or so p.m. I think 3:18 to 3:20 p.m. It was at its pinnacle, or at its
Mm.
peak of coverage or whatever, and I'm standing there and there's another couple standing there, and I just looked at them and I said, "Wow, that didn't darken down very much." And,
Mm-mm.
and the guy said, "No, not really." But it was interesting. It's it's done. So we could stick a fork in that in the eclipse,
Yeah.
and now just watch all the pictures and videos and stuff flow
Mm-hmm.
through.
I mean,
Um,
if someone did, try taking some pictures and want to post it to the Facebook group,
yeah.
and
Oh
if you
yeah.
do that, please let us know your camera because I know it's always interesting to see what people take photos, what camera, and it's more of a matter. A lot of times you'll see, oh, this was taken with a 4-year-old camera, and you're
Yeah.
like, wow, that's amazing. Because especially with iPhones, you don't need the latest and greatest all the time.
No. No,
Certain
not at
certain
all.
things, certain things are better with the later cameras because the hardware is better, but for the most part, you can get amazing photos with older cameras.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, please post it to the Facebook and let us know if you did a editing. And we're really interested to see what everyone did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm sure there will be some in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully even some with the total coverage. It'd be kind of nice to see them too.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of sticking a fork in it, um, my book is done. If you're in the group, in the Facebook group, you will have seen where I posted um, the link to the book, and right now it's just in the Apple bookstore, but it is coming to print pretty soon. And there's the cover. So if you're in the Apple
Mm.
bookstore, look for the cover. Folks, look on your screen. There, you'll see it. And for those who are watching live, all one of them, I think, you'll be able to see it. But you know, 4 years, 4 years in the making, uh, and for various reasons. One, it took me about 6 months to write it to begin with, and then I got with a publisher, signed a contract, a whole 9 yards, and they, for whatever reason, they seem to take a lot of time getting things done. And I get it. I mean, it was a brother sister team.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know if they even had anybody working for them. I think it was just the two of them. And they were in two different locations in the country. And
Mm.
and I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to do that. But
Right.
um, so finally, I would ask, okay, how's it going? And then they, I would get, get a response eventually, and I would, saying they were doing page layouts or whatever. And I got to tell you, I didn't realize how hard publishing was until I started doing this on my own. Um, but anyway, so they, you know, then the pandemic hit, and the one was in stuck in another state away from home, and then they were,
Mm.
then that was over with, and then just different things were going on, and it was just taking forever and forever and forever. So finally, I looked at the contract again, and there was a time limit where they had to have things, they had to have a book produced once they got all the files, and that time was approaching. And I hadn't
Mm.
heard anything, hadn't heard anything. So I just finally asked them, even before the time was over, I said, can I just do this myself? Can we just, break the contract and do this myself? And couple of days later, they responded, "Yeah, go ahead. We're going to terminate the contract." So I don't know if they like. I mean, I do know this. I do know that the pandemic caused a lot of grief for the printing industry because I work at a major Canadian printing company, and I know
Mhm.
how the impact affected us. It affected, and it snowballed, right? The paper availability was not there for some people, or it was very hard to get paper. And I mean, some of this is just still bouncing back in the industry. So, I mean, I know how hard it is. But so that being said, I took it on my own. And then from the time that I had all the stuff ready initially to the time that I was able to take control of it myself, things changed.
Mm.
I had a different phone. Actually, I went through
Mm.
two different phones. Let's see. Okay, so I missed the iPhone 13.
Mhm.
That's when macro became available in the iPhone built in.
Mhm.
And all I had to go by was either you or anybody else that I knew that had one, or followed in on social media or whatever.
Right.
So I didn't have the experience to go by. But then as I started rewriting things, I had the 14 Pro Max, which had it, and then I was able to use that and
Mhm.
do some comparing and all this stuff. And then just time just built up. And then eventually, even with the 15, um, with the 15 Pro Max, I'm not able to use any lenses because I don't have a case for any
Mm.
of them for whatever reason. And I'm supposed to have one coming, but I finally just finished it. There may be things left out, but the nice thing about it is the way I'm publishing it is I can update it as we go. As these things become available to me, I can update the Apple Bookstore version,
Mm.
and even with the print version, I can update stuff, and then whoever orders one from that point on will get the update type of thing.
Okay, so
And
you're
I don't
using
want to,
print on demand then.
yes, and I don't want to
Okay.
discourage anybody from buying the print version because I can't promise I will have updates in it. I may be happy with it the way it is. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I just wanted to get it done, and finally you know, sitting down and reading through it and finding, grammar things and things that I
Mm.
left in that should have been taken out. Like what I did was I put inserted file names in square brackets where the pictures were going to go. So even after I put the picture in, I might have forgot to take the file name out. So, good thing I read through the final draft and that's all done and
Mm.
dusted. And I do have to make one update to the iBooks version or the Apple Books version because Norm Savagar, I think that's how you pronounce his name, corrected me on some spelling. And it
Mm.
was focus peaking. When I put focus peaking in the book, I
Hmm.
put peaking as Peeking,
Oh,
but
is
it's
it PEA?
PEA. And I didn't even look it up. I just assumed that it was
Mm.
peaking because you're kind of getting a peek at the focus. And this
Instead
is
of
just
it
a,
peaking like a top, like a peak of a
yeah, yeah,
mountain.
yeah. So anyway, I've that's all been fixed, but I have to just um, put the update through the bookstore, and
Hmm.
it's not that hard to do. I just have to get around to doing it. But what I'm doing now is preparing the files for the print version, and that's a lot of work. I've got
Hmm.
the page layouts; they're all going to be the same as the ebook, but
Hmm.
I have to prep the photos all differently. You know, they have to be done in CMYK. They can't just be RGB like a ebook can. And you know, there's a bunch of different parameters that have to be met in order for the PDFs to be acceptable for print. And you know, you'd almost think I know this because I work in a major printing factory, but I put the ink on the paper. I don't get the files ready back, out in the front where they do that
You're
sort of
on
thing.
one part, not the other part.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about that other stuff, but I certainly had never done it and don't know
Hmm.
that much, so it's a learning curve. It's a big learning curve. And I'm not about to call up somebody from work and say, "Hey, could you do this?" No, no, I'm not going to do that. It's self-published.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be an adventure. And I can't give a timeline when the print version will be ready, but I will say if my file prep goes well, then it could be, definitely sometime this month, because what I'll have to do is I'll submit them, get
Hmm.
a sample printed and sent to me that I can go through and look
Right.
at. And if it
Right.
looks
Right.
good, and I'm gonna pick through it with a fine tooth comb because
Oh yeah.
I print. I could pick out mistakes. And I'm gonna, and if it goes well, if it looks good, then the print version will be available, and there'll be a link on my website and all this stuff I built to put a page on my
Hmm.
website for all this, and it'll be available. So
And
it's
then you'll
it's
be able to breathe.
and I'll be
And
able to
then you'll be
breathe.
able to breathe.
It's been a very exhausting couple of weeks or so for me because I did a presentation for a local camera club
Mm.
back in March. Just this past Friday, I did one to the Cleveland Photographic Society on Zoom.
Ah.
That was I was a little concerned how that was going to go, and it kind of I only had one hiccup
Oh,
that I
that's
was
good.
I but luckily my cousin Michelle, who's she's
Hmm.
been she's in the group, and I've talked about her before. I did a dry run with her online, and then so there was a video in the presentation. When the video played, she couldn't hear the sound. So, this is not going to go well. So I figured out how to make the sound work. And that happened in the one with Cleveland too. The video went, but the sound didn't go. But I said, let me know if you can't hear the sound. No, can't hear. Okay, I know exactly what to do. Fix it in about
Hmm.
2 seconds, and away it went. So that was the only hiccup, really. But
Yeah.
no, but it was fun. But yeah, it's been a real hectic couple of weeks, and
Mm.
it's not over yet because I'm still going through these file preparing things, and I'll be glad when it's done. And then I want to write another book.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
It's
I'd
like
like to.
potato chips. You just can't do one, huh?
Then, well, you know what? I think I can. I think I can make a series out of this. This one's called iPhone Photography, focusing on macro. And I think I could do one called iPhone Photography, focusing on landscape, and
Hmm.
then maybe focusing on, long exposure or something like that. I think I might
Portrait.
be able to make a series out of it
Yeah.
because in the book, so a bit of a spoiler, in the book, I talk about how the iPhone camera works. And then I kind of tell you how you can use that to your advantage in doing macro. That's the idea. That's the basically what the book's about.
Hmm.
And it's not a it's not a terribly long read or anything. It's if you read it cover to cover, you can have it done in a couple hours easily. Probably less, probably a lot less.
Oh, yeah.
But it's I'm hoping that it's educational for people and teaches people some things
Hmm.
and it's
I'll
just
say
been
you don't want an overly long book that's a not necessarily a straight how to book, but you want people to be able to pick it up and use it. And if
yeah.
it's, oh, there's the manual for doing macro and it's going to take you 8 hours to go through it and all this study, you're like, I'm never going to pick this up.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
You want
Yeah.
it that someone could use it while to get familiarized with using macros.
Yeah. And
I'll
that's
say, I,
why that's why the ebook that's out now would be
mhm,
helpful. You could read it right on your phone if you want,
yeah.
as long as it's an
And
iPhone.
like I said, well, true. True, true. Now the little bit of history I have with publishing, and you want to call it quote unquote publishing, was me doing my master's thesis. We're talking back in '96, so that was really, and of course, so much has changed since then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the way we had to do it was, um, and we had to do this as part of our degree program to get, so once it's approved, you get your final thing, it's reviewed, you go in front of the different professors and they ask you questions and they give you the thumbs up. You have to print out the files. So inkjet printer at
Hmm.
home probably. Okay. Print out the files, have 3 copies worth, take it down, and there was a binder that the university used. And you had to, okay, here's my thing. Yeah, I'm doing a master, I'm doing a thesis. Here's the title. Here's my name, blah, 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 blah. Here's my 3 physical copies. Give it to them. They bound it properly. Okay, so they did the binding. You came back like a week later, got the books, and then you said, okay, this is for the engineering library. I actually think they sent it there, but it's like, okay, here's the department library that they keep all the things, and this one's for me, and there's one, but you had to pay all that binding costs and everything else, like
Yeah, yeah,
everything else. But that's the closest I've ever dealt with do publishing my own work.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, admittedly, where I work my full-time job, one of the things we do sell are books. So, but all that's the actual, our end of it is deal with the authors, have the authors write the books, and then send us the format and they digest it however with content management. And then they send it off we used to print them locally, but now they send it off who knows where to print them and then to get them back and sell them. So, it's a matter of we're kind of just a cog in the process.
yeah,
But
yeah,
to trying to do all this by yourself, including marketing and getting the information out and making people know this book exists, it's a big deal. It's a lot of work.
it is, and that's part of it too. Is
Yeah.
I have to market it myself, so people are probably gonna get sick and tired of seeing me post about it, but I have to get it out there with the hope that as
Mm-hmm.
many people can see it as possible, and it's that's all part of it. The nice thing though with the company that I'm getting the print version through is I think there's going to be a Kindle version,
Mm.
and
That will
so
make a big difference
I
too.
think it's going to be on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Okay. That helps. That helps
Yeah,
tremendously. Yeah.
yeah. So it's um, it, most of the work is is done. Obviously, still a little bit of work to do yet, but it's it's getting there. It's getting close. But I mean, it is done. It's out on the Apple Bookstore.
Right.
Looks best on an iPad or a Mac even,
Mm-hmm.
but more so than the phone. And it's a static version. It's not, it's not where you can. stretch it out and the fonts get bigger and all that stuff. It's just it is what it is, and it has to be that way because with it, where I've got the images laid out within the text, it's relevant to what the text
Right.
is. If you were able to, if it was flowable as they call it, then the pictures might move to other places where they're not, the
Right.
text won't be
Right. Right.
relative,
Right.
so or relevant.
Well, I
So that's why I
mean,
had to do it the way I did.
right. Right. But like you said, the nice thing about the Apple Bookstore, you purchase once, so you can buy it on the iPhone. And if you have an iPad or a Mac, it's there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that makes it easier too.
So there will be a link in the description to the book. That's what Gavin Hardcastle always says when he promotes his books. He goes, "There's a link in the description."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And
it'll be
then, yeah,
on.
also in chat, Gary Green said, great information on self publishing, Greg.
Ah, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it's an adventure.
Yeah. I would say, unless you go through something like that, you don't understand.
Yeah, and I didn't understand until now. That is so true. Okay, well, I guess it's time for our recent photos.
Mm-hmm.
And we will start with your first one. Let me
Okay.
just bring it up on the screen and you'll see what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
And there it
There we
is.
go. Yes. So this was taken actually behind a or I guess you strip mall, for lack of a better term, where a grocery store is. And there's railroad tracks behind it. And there's the houses on the other side of the tracks, as you might say.
Hmm.
And for security, there is a fence between the back of the grocery store and the railroad tracks, so people can't just, walk on them for obvious reasons. You don't want people walking on railroad tracks. And at the top of the fence, there is barbed wire.
Yeah.
So, but it's not so high. So I was able to get up close, reach up with my hands, and get a photo of this. Now, one thing I do want to double check, because I tried multiple things here. So I want to make sure. Okay, so this one, and again, I was just trying to make sure which one I was using. This one was taken with the Mood camera that
Oh,
we've talked
okay.
about before.
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
was taken with their Mono 400N filter.
Hmm.
I tried it with the built-in app, and it just felt more. It didn't. It
It
sounds
didn't
weird,
have
but
that
it was.
authentic feel to it.
Yeah, it felt more film-like.
Yeah.
Where the built-in app is a little too crisp and a little too clear, a little too harsh.
Yeah.
So this is, and I just like because I did try this with color, and different. I know it's not officially a film sim, but I kind of think the Mono app, the Mood app, is kind of like a film sim app.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I tried color, I tried different looks, and the black and white just looked best. And I did some editing in Photoshop. Lightroom Mobile, not Photoshop,
Hmm.
Lightroom Mobile, just to tweak it a little bit here and there. But I just like the look of, the fact that the houses across the way, they look like they're older houses, you can tell.
Hmm.
And with the railroad tracks, I thought it just got a nice mood to it, and the black and white kind of helped with that mood.
I think that camera app is named perfectly
Yes.
because when you like had you taken this with the Apple camera and just in mono, it wouldn't have this mood to it. Even
Mm-hmm.
like, the mood camera app, it adds this grain and it just has a look and feel. This looks like a photo that was taken in the 1970s. Other than the fact that it's not, it's lacking, maybe some scratches or whatever on
Right.
the image, but or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the grain and all that stuff, it looks
Well,
so
that
cool.
is
Like
one thing
it's
I want to add. The grain was added in Lightroom Mobile.
oh, was it?
It was
Okay.
added. Yeah. Now I could have selected different preset in the Mood app to make it grainier.
Yeah.
But it went more with this, and I just did some adjustments in Lightroom to add the grain. So,
Okay.
you know,
Well,
it's but I think both ways it turned out, it would have
yeah,
turned out good doing the other way too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I like it. It
Yeah.
almost looks like you could have been standing in a prison yard, and that's
Mm-hmm. The
that's what's
barbed wire
outside.
keeping you out. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
And again, I really like the mood
Mm-hmm.
and just the lower wire is just below the tracks in the frame, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
good too. Um, I don't know, it just flows nicely across the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. The barbed wire almost acts like a framing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could actually crop a little off the bottom and the top and still have the
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic you're looking for, but even at the crop that it's at now, it looks good.
Yeah. And I
So,
would say that this is also one area where it just kind of talking about when you're taking photos, this is where moving left to right can make a difference.
oh yeah, yeah.
Because if I would have moved 10 feet to the left or 10 feet to the right, different shot because of the way the houses are on the other side.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
And the
sure.
fact that, the fence is a little uneven. So I probably wouldn't have had the framing with the barbed wire if I'm on a little
Hmm.
left or right. I wouldn't be able to reach up enough to get it framed. So
Yeah.
again, you
Um,
can go out there, see a shot, and you're like, I like this shot, but what if I move? Not because we always talk about using your feet to zoom, but
mhm.
sometimes moving left and right,
Oh yeah, yeah.
parallel
Because
to your subject, getting a
and
different angle.
another thing that I like about this is that the tall tree on the left side of the frame, those branches going up to the left meet the top of those clouds.
Mm,
And had you been 10 feet to the one side or the other, those branches would have been in a different spot in relation to the clouds, and it might not have looked as
mhm,
good. I think it looks really cool because you could see right at the top where the one branch almost separates this cloud from the sky, but there's just a little sliver of cloud on the other side of the branch, like on the right
mhm.
side of the branch. So I think that's kind of cool, just the way that turned out. And your second one is another tree.
Another tree. And this is one that Ruth took.
Oh,
So
right,
we
okay.
were in a car driving home, and it was just about, we're getting lighter and light. It's getting staying lighter later and later.
Hmm.
So this is around 6:30 or so at night. And I was like, hun, is like, okay, there's no one behind us. I'll stop on the road, get your phone out and just get a picture of that tree. Because I love the way the tree, the angle of the tree and the trees down below. Um, because it's still stick season, there's no, or the leaves are just starting to come off. So you can
Just
see
start,
the
yeah.
entire, all the little, how the
The little
tree looks
buds,
like
yeah.
a lung almost,
Yeah.
with all the arteries, if you will, coming out. And just a silhouette there. I did do some editing. So I took away some of the cars in the bottom of the image that were there,
Okay.
because there's a road that goes in front.
Yeah.
And I did some changing with the color to um, bring a little bit of the green out that's down below, but not too much. Because there
Hmm.
were some, like you go into edit, you can really make it look like there's no silhouette there if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Lightroom's pretty powerful. But I just want to, and the way the clouds are there and the sun's just off to your left there. But so you got a little bit of sun, but not too much. And the tree still kind of, there's green around it, but this tree still kind of bare as
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
showing there.
Yeah. And that's about what we got to have here is like the buds are just starting to come
Mm-hmm.
out on the trees. I mean, you give it, I don't know, what, 2, 3 weeks, and we're going to have leaves finally.
Yeah.
Um, or, they may be small still at that time, but, we'll still have leaves. But yeah, no, that's pretty good for a drive-by.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Through the front windshield.
Oh,
So
is
that's
it?
everything. Yeah,
Okay.
that's through the front windshield. So that's everything I did in Lightroom Mobile was use the clarity and dehaze to
Yeah.
get rid of the all windshields have a little bit of haze, especially driving, especially front
Yeah.
ones where you get road stuff and a little
Yeah.
reflection. So I was able to use the dehaze and the clarity to get rid of the reflection and the haze of the windshield.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
those are
cool.
so powerful tools.
Yeah. Well, another good shot by Ruth.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. And then this one here, you sent this one a while ago, a couple of days ago or so, and I
Yeah.
thought this was really cool.
Yeah. This was actually taken in a parking lot. I just noticed the birds overhead and just how they were just kind of using the heat of the parking lot to coast in the sky.
Mm.
And so this is one I actually use a live photo on, just because it's hard to get that bird right where you want it to be.
Yeah. Oh,
And I
yeah.
did have to use the live image on this one to change the frame because the bird was a little too far off and I wanted the bird in front of the cloud.
Hmm.
Also, I did, again, using Lightroom Mobile, um, to change the light and the contrast, because when you look at the original photo, all you saw was the silhouette of the bird. You didn't see the white feathers.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to edit it and just get that where you can see where the feathers are going out. You can see the lightness of those feathers versus the body itself of the bird.
Hmm.
And there was just a few of them in the just not too. It wasn't very very high up in the sky, just kind of circling the parking lot, just kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
going
Yeah.
around. So now, admittedly, it looked
Any,
kind of weird me standing in the middle of a parking lot, making sure I'm not run over, looking up
yeah.
with my phone. But
Yeah.
it's what you
Any
have to
idea
do
what it is?
sometimes.
Any idea what kind of bird it is? Like
I
it looks to
don't.
me like a hawk of some sort,
I imagine it's a hawk. I tried
or
using
could be a
Google
falcon.
Lens,
Yeah.
like a Google Lens, and they said a condor, which I know is not a condor.
Yeah. No, it's not a condor.
It's not a condor,
Um,
but we have tons of hawks around here.
yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it
We
looks like it
we
could
have
be like a red
hawks.
tail hawk
Yeah,
or a peregrine falcon or something like that. I mean, I think the feathers, the way they spread on the wingtips, would probably give a pretty good idea. But I'm
yeah.
not a real big bird
I'm
guy,
not
so I don't
either.
know.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, I imagine hawk. We do have
Yep.
bald eagles close by.
Yeah, we have them here too.
Yep, and there are peregrine falcons, but I think they're more like in downtown
Oh,
because they
really?
because they use the skyscrapers like cliffs.
Oh, okay.
So like a lot of the
Interesting.
older skyscrapers in Pittsburgh, because they're like Art Deco,
Hmm.
so they're granite and they have kind of the step up.
Oh, yeah.
So they actually nest on there, and you think of it as their cliff, if you will.
Ah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I imagine since it is around here, imagine like I said, there were two or three of them in the sky. So I'm thinking falcon.
Well, the tallest building we have in town where I live is 8 stories. So, we got pigeons.
Well, you got enough of those too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Uh, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess a red-tailed hawk, but who knows? And if anybody's watching or listening, um, and you know what kind of bird this is, let us know. Okay, so this is my first one.
Ooh.
This was from probably a couple of weeks ago, I would say. I was working on the book and I thought, you know what? I have got to just get out and take a picture of the sunset, long exposure, because Scott Baker has been killing it with those lately. And he really, normally he's on here watching, but I don't think he's on here tonight. But he just inspired me to get out and try to get a decent sunset. Now, there wasn't nearly as much color as I had hoped for. This is just down at the waterfront, looking across the bay at the other side, and I think I used re-expose probably for maybe 10 seconds or something like that,
Mm.
and just a Lightroom edit just to bring some of the detail out of the shadow areas and whatnot. And I saturated the color a little bit and really brought up some of the oranges because it was really a real blah sunset. Like it wasn't that exciting at all. So
Mm.
I tried to make the best of it. And of course, across the water is the marina where all the boats that are still wrapped up for the winter. I'm sure they'll be getting them out soon. But and even on the foreground, there's some snow on the rocks yet. So it was still pretty cold a couple of weeks ago, and it's just today was nice. Today, I bet you hit about 20 degrees Celsius, and that would be probably 68 or so Fahrenheit,
Oh, that
something
is
like that.
nice. Yeah.
So it was a pretty nice day today. Um, but yeah, I just, Scott's images that he's been putting on like Instagram and all that stuff lately just got me to the point where, okay, I got to get it and get a picture. So that's when I went out and got this.
That is so nice. Yeah, especially like you said about the using reheld just to get that the
Well, it was
sheen on the
re-exposed.
water.
It was
Re-exposed, I'm sorry.
re-exposed. Yeah.
Re-exposed, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting that sheen on the water there.
Yeah. And I mean, the water was fairly smooth.
Hmm.
Like there wasn't a lot of ripples, but yeah, it definitely, put the,
Especially in the foreground around the rocks.
yeah,
It just
yeah.
kind of made it,
Yeah, it smoothed it out pretty much like glass. Like I would say the dark parts of the water is where the ripples were mostly, and where the actual light is reflecting is where it was the smoothest, I think. And this one was from today. Scott Baker has been putting a lot of pictures of running water on lately too. So, not to be outdone by him, I've made an attempt to. This was the base of the waterfall that I went to, um, and I used re-expose, and I used a circular polarizer and my 16 stop ND filter, so that I can take a. Now this could have been just reflex, and I shot raw, and it might have been like a half a second. It may not have been re-exposed. I'd have to look at the files. Let me see if I could find that. Um, but I just love doing shots like this with not too much veiling, but just enough that it. Let's see. This is the one here, and yeah, this was reflex. This was not re-expose, so this was just reflex,
okay.
and it was a. Gosh, it could have been a. Oh no, it's raw. Okay, it's raw. Yeah, it was a raw file, and I didn't even do Pro Raw. It was just straight raw, and so it took some doing in Lightroom to get the highlights so they weren't blown out and to get the detail back out of the shadows. But what I think what bothers me the most is these twigs in the lower right in the
Mm,
foreground, and
I
they
see
were
what you mean.
completely,
Yeah.
yeah, they were completely out of reach. I couldn't reach them to
Mm.
move them out of the way or anything, so I was pretty well stuck with them. But this was with the 5X, and I
Mm.
had, I had it on a tripod, of course, and this one I was waiting for it to get to the darkest point of the eclipse.
Okay.
So I was just taking a few shots to fill in some time.
That is one thing that happened with the eclipse, which was wonderful. Just that this, I think we talked about this on the pre-show, the diffuse light
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened. The fact that it was overcast, it was like a bright overcast day. If it sounds weird,
Hmm.
where like in an overcast day, you'll get that nice diffuse light, so you don't have the harsh shadows or harsh whites. But it was brighter than an overcast day, so you didn't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
worry about it being too dark.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but definitely with the two filters I had on, it was pretty dark. So I turned
Oh
the
yeah.
ISO down as far as I could go and went with I think it was like a half second shutter
Mm,
speed. Let me see, what does it say here? Yeah, half second shutter speed, ISO
okay.
40. So um
Wow, that is low.
yeah. And that presentation that I did, both at the local club and online on Friday night, it was like it was all about a photographic approach to iPhone photography, and this is the essence of what that presentation was about. You know, using the iPhone camera like you would use a traditional camera.
Hmm.
Filters, shoot raw, that whole 9 yards. And I wish I'd have had this to show in that presentation, but I just didn't.
Well, yeah.
But it was fun, getting a few shots, waiting for the
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the darkest part to come, which is and this is what it looked like for us. This is a raw file, unedited. I opened it in
Mm.
Lightroom Mobile and just saved it out as a JPEG, so I can put it on here. And so, I mean, it was completely overcast. You could look up, you couldn't even tell where the sun was even before the moon started to move over it. It was that overcast.
Mm.
Um, but it was, it was daylight. It was still light. I mean, it was noticeably dimmer than before it had started,
Right.
but this was at about 3:20 p.m.
Okay.
Eastern time for us, for us right here in this location. This is the I would say the pinnacle of the eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit of a disappointment for me. I was hoping it would be darker.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, when we hit our pinnacle, and there was just a slight sliver of a sun left,
Hmm.
and you, at least for us, you felt the temperature difference more than you saw the light difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I took this 48 megapixel too, just
Okay,
to get the best out of it
sure.
for this probably once in a lifetime shot for me. But yeah, that was it. Oh, and I guess that's the end of it. That's our
Mm-hmm.
recent photos. So yeah, it was an interesting day. And I'll probably uh, it's just after 10 o'clock here now. I'm just going to relax for the rest of the night and probably look
Yeah.
through some of the images that people are putting out there from today and
Mm-hmm.
see what kind of creative stuff there is. I know there's a photographer in Toronto. Now Toronto is not it wasn't in the
Mm.
the line of totality. That was in like Niagara Falls, Buffalo area. Those guys were getting the total
Okay.
part of
Yeah.
it. Now the photographer, I can't think of his name. Anyway, he's really good at pre-planning his shots so that he can go somewhere
Mm.
and get like the full moon, just on the very tip of the CN Tower.
Oh.
That type of thing. That's the kind of stuff he does, eh? So I'm hoping that he got out there and did something very creative with this. And if he has, I'm sure he'll have it on there by now. I just have to find who he was and look it up. But um, interesting day, and I hope nobody gets blinded from that. Looking into it without the proper eyewear or anything, but because it could very easily damage it without even
Yeah.
you wouldn't
Well,
even
like I said,
realize it.
common sense, and I know it's past. So well, if you
Yeah,
didn't use common sense, we're sorry, but
yeah, and
yeah,
you're not even Canadian.
no, sorry, but yeah, just it's one of those things, and I think we talked about. I think this is even going back to the tiny shutter days when we were dealing with like winter photography, and it's like
Yeah.
use common sense,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And I know why we have the labels the way we do because of cover your
Hmm.
behind legally,
Yeah.
but just use the common sense that you should have.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Well, David, I am beat, so I think we're gonna
I
call
can
it a night.
imagine. Sounds
Yeah.
good. It sounds good.
Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Sure, you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media as Prof Pod, except for TikTok, where I'm Prof Pod PGH.
Alrighty, and you can find me at about.me/McMillan, or you can go to the Facebook group for the podcast. It's the iPhoneography podcast. Look that up in the groups, and you'll find us there. And of course, there's links in the show notes for all the places you'll find Dave and I,
Mhm.
and all the folks that we hang out with, and start looking for these eclipse pictures because I bet you they're flowing in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
on that note, I guess we'll see you all in the next one.
Have a great one, everyone.